One man, one mission, to rid the world of chronic anxiety once and for all. The Anxiety Guy, Dennis Simsek, shares his personal transformation from living a life filled with overwhelming worry to becoming a full-fledged positivity machine. A leading authority in generalized anxiety, Dennis gets to the truth of your mental health challenges and sets you on a path to transforming each and every area of your life. Here he is, the one and only, the Anxiety Guy.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Anxiety Guy podcast, episode number 21. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast and following it through our Facebook page under the Anxiety Guy or under Twitter as well under the Anxiety Guy. As well, make sure to send me any questions, any comments that you have regarding the podcast through anxietyexit.com. You can contact me or any of the Anxiety Guy support team through there. And with that said, let's get to episode number 21. And episode number 21 has to do with change, has to do with creating a change in your life. And I see a lot of people out there struggling to make a change. Now, this change doesn't have to be, anxiety related. It doesn't have to be, anything stress related. It could be a change in a career. It could be a change, you want to lose some weight. It could be any kind of change. But, with the Anxiety Guy podcast, we want to kind of focus on more of the anxiety, more of the mental health aspect of things, and really try to get people to reach their full potentials. And that is what this episode is all about. It's about the 6 stages of creating a change. And I want to come out and just say that I did not come up with this process. I study a lot, I read a lot, I work with a lot of people one-on-one coaching, and I came about this through an article. And this concept of these stages of change was originally developed in the late 1970s by James Proshka and Carlo Di Clemente at the University of Rhode Island. So these stages have been around forever. And why is it so important that I give you this message today? Why is it so important that you understand the different stages of creating a change? Because it's so important. Because you skip steps, you skip stages when you create a change, and then in the end we become disappointed that we don't see the change. And that is why every single aspect of the stages of the change, if you're listening, you need to recognize each and every stage and understand how in your own life, how you can relate in your own life to these different stages of change. So with that said, let's get into it right away. The first stage of any change, whether it's overcoming your anxiety, overcoming your panic attacks, your health anxiety, any change in your life is the pre-contemplation stage. So not yet really acknowledging that there is a problem that needs to be changed. And you might be in the stage 1, the pre-contemplation stage. You might be on to, further on along the stages. But in the pre-contemplation stage, people are actually not thinking seriously about changing and are not really interested in any kind of help. That was me for a long time. People in this stage, tend to defend their own current bad habits, and they tend to talk about it. They try to get acceptance about it, and do not feel that it is a problem. So if you are in the pre-contemplation stage, acknowledge that you are there. Acknowledge that that you are defensive in the face of, say, other people's efforts to pressure you to change, for example, giving up smoking or something like that. Acknowledge that you are in that stage, and that is stage 1, the pre-contemplation stage, not yet really acknowledging the problem. Stage number 2 is contemplation. So acknowledging that there is a problem, but you're not yet really ready or sure of wanting to make a change. And a lot of people get stuck in this stage. They contemplate their whole lives And people are more aware of the personal consequences of their bad habits, and they spend time thinking about their problem. Although they are able to consider the possibility of changing, they tend to be ambivalent about it. And on the plus side, people are more open to receiving information about their bad habit or unhelpful behavior. So if you're in the contemplation stage, you're kind of weighing your options right now. You're weighing your options. It might take as little as a couple weeks or as long as a lifetime to get through the contemplation stage. In fact, some people think and think and think about change and may die never having gone beyond this stage. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So understand that if you're in stage 2, in the contemplation stage, it's totally normal, but it's important that we get to the 3rd stage as quickly as possible so that we can reach our long-term goals and live a fulfilling life and help other people in the meantime. And that 3rd stage is the preparation, determination stage. People have now made a commitment to make a change. So you've made a commitment to make the change. You are committed. You see the big picture. Your motivation for changing is reflected by statements such as I've got to do something about this, or this is really serious. Something has to change. What can I do? You may actively be seeking support in this stage, different information, resources, and at this stage, people often contact a life coach or a counselor. Myself being an anxiety life coach, a lot of people come up to me going, you know what, Dennis, I'm ready, I'm prepared, I'm determined to make this change. Give me the goods, lead me on the path that I can bring some real willpower to the table, and I can start to get on that cycle of creating the change in my own life. So this is a great stage. I love this stage because it's very motivating. It's that feeling of, yes, I will create this change. Yes, it must happen, not tomorrow, but starting today. And it's important that you don't do this, on your own. You get the support from people that have been in those shoes, that have accomplished the things that you want to accomplish. And that's only going to help your determination and your preparation as you create that change. And then you'll be moving on to stage number 4, which is the action stage, the action or / willpower stage. Now, at this stage, people believe they have the ability to change their behavior and are actively involved in taking steps to change. And you know what? You may be employing a range of different strategies and techniques. And this is actually the shortest of all the stages. The amount of time that people spend in action varies. It generally lasts somewhere around 4 to 6 months, but it can literally be as short as an hour. Have you ever said to yourself, yes, I'm going to make that change. I've got the strategy in place. I've got everything in place. And you know what? It only lasted a day, maybe 2 or 3. And that's where step number 5 comes in. And we're not going to jump to that yet because I want you guys to understand the importance of stage number 4 in creating a change. Action needs to be looked at as a long-term process. It's not, taking an action for a week and then giving it up. It's about looking at the big picture. It's about looking at the result that you want and gaining that fuel to create the change through constantly reminding yourself of the result that you want in your life. And that is very, very important. For me to overcome my anxiety disorder, what I had to do is I had to carry around pictures of my son. I had to carry around pictures of my fiance. I had to carry around pictures of my friends and family that were relying on me, not only to change my own lives, but because they spent so much time around me to help change their lives as well. and because of their support, and I had to do it not only for myself but for them as well. And that was my fuel for stage number 4, constantly going into that action mentality and creating that change step by step. And before we get to stage number 5, I want you guys to understand the importance of small wins in your life. If we go from nothing to something, that's huge, and we're taking a giant leap, we're going to become disappointed because we're not going to reach that goal. What we need to do is create these small goals, these tiny small wins in our lives in order for us to slowly get to where we need to go. So a small win, for example, if you want to overcome your chronic stress, is to start with tiny changes in your diet. Tiny changes in what you do in the morning, a 5-minute meditation, is surrounding yourself with somebody else, replacing that person with someone who's more toxic to your life. These tiny changes all add up if we think about it throughout the year. So it's important that we really take the action part seriously and think long term. Stage 5 is the maintenance stage. So maintenance involves being able to successfully avoid any temptations to return to the old patterns or behaviors. And people in maintenance constantly reformulate the rules of their lives and are acquiring new skills to deal with life and avoid relapse. So, if we take myself, for example, my maintenance was really powerful because I always, people always ask me, Dennis, how did you overcome your health anxiety in a matter of just a few months after going through it for years and years and years? And I constantly tell them the same thing. I say, you know what? I even throughout that time of recovery, I was still feeling anxious. My mind still was trying to process this new behavior, these new diet changes. It was such a struggle. It really was, and it took a lot of time. I got worse before everything got a lot better. And I always had a choice to either go one path or another path, and I always knew the path that would take me towards anxiety, and I always, at the beginning of the cycle of thoughts that would create that anxiety, I stopped it at the initial thoughts, and that has proven to be so powerful. And not letting that cycle go round and round, and letting the adrenaline kick in and so forth. So my maintenance was always based around the fact that I always had two choices. I could either think one way or I could think another way in those initial fearful moments, those worrying moments, and I always trained myself to start to think differently in those really catastrophic possibilities that I was going through. So the maintenance stage is one that you need to be patient with yourself and recognize that it often takes a while to let go of your old behavioral patterns and practice new ones until they are actually second nature. So, it is normal and natural to regress. I want you guys to understand that. And it's a normal part of making changes in your behavior. Don't look at a setback as a failure. It's not. It really isn't. Have those days of setbacks. Allow those days to happen. Don't fight against it. Don't overthink it. Just stay on the path. And eventually you're going to get to where you want to go. And the 6th stage is relapse. Along the way to permanent change, most people, not everybody, most people experience relapse. In fact, it is much more common to have at least one relapse than not. Relapse is usually accompanied by feelings of discouragement and seeing yourself as a failure. And while relapse can be extremely discouraging, the majority of people who successfully change do not follow a straight path. They cycle through 5 stages several times before achieving that stable lifestyle change. So understand that this will give you a stronger sense of self-control and the ability to get back on track. So relapse happens. It's a part of the change process. Understand that. Understand the 6 stages, guys. Put it into some aspect of your own life where you're trying to create some change in your own life and see what stage are you in. Why are you stuck in that stage? Are you going backwards? What do you need to do in order to get to the next stage and then the next stage and hopefully not get into relapse again because you've just trained yourself to think differently, to act differently. You believe in yourself. You allow setbacks to happen. You allow feelings, those sensations of anxiety to happen. You don't fight against them. And allowing is just something so powerful. I can't even explain how powerful it is, because instead of fighting, instead of our sympathetic nervous system kicking in and being in that fight or flight response all day long and thinking, what is this? What's going to happen? What are the possibilities? Am I going to die at this moment? In that moment, you have a choice. You always have a choice. You have a choice of how to think. You have a choice of what to believe. You have a choice of what action to take. So I want you to take some inspiration out of this episode here, guys, and understand that you are powerful. You really are powerful. And until you start believing in yourself and start believing in the power of you, nothing is going to change. But I really want you to understand what aspect of change, what stage am I in, and how do I get to the next stage? Get out of contemplating and start changing your life. Start looking at how other people have changed their own lives. Start looking at, the difference between what you're doing and what other people are doing. Get a program going, guys. The End the Anxiety program on anxietyexit.com has changed 7,000 people's lives. Go to www.anxietyexit.com. Pick up that program. I will work with you through that program. And I want you to even listen to this episode a few times to understand the stages. Take some notes. And I'll see you guys in the next episode, which will be episode number 22. As well, all those updates, guys, are going to be on Facebook under The Anxiety Guy. I hope to answer any of your comments, questions on there. I will be posting this on there as well. Also on YouTube, this episode will be on there as well. And I'll see you guys really, really soon. Big hugs. See you soon. Take care.